Dear student, today topic is law of conservation of mass. Means what happens actually during the reaction, scientist Lavoisier explained that about the law of conservation of mass. He states that before the reaction, whatever the mass, suppose that is m1, okay, after the reaction, the total mass is m2, both are same, and this is what it states as law of mass conservation. My dear student, let me show you the history of law of mass conservation now. You can see the history of law of conservation of mass, that a Greek scientist, okay, means the Greek people, they gave the idea about the total amount of matter in the universe is constant, okay, and then the scientist Lavoisier, he described in the way of law which is known as law of conservation of mass, okay, and it states that, means it basically states a fundamental principle in physics in 1789. And what it states, let me show you the next slide for that now. The conservation of mass states that, understand one by one, that mass in isolated system. What is the meaning of isolated system? See, isolated means single. It's not combined with anyone. Suppose if I talk about the Na, so Na is single here. If I talk about NaCl, Na is not single. So Na here, Na is isolated, and here Na is not isolated. So isolated means single, okay. Now one more thing, one more sense of isolated is such type of system where any change cannot be possible, like energy change, mass change, temperature change, this change cannot occur. That type of system is isolated system. The detailed discussion we do in thermodynamics, not here. So the simple meaning of isolated is single, not combined with anyone, okay. Let's come to the point. So law of conservation of mass says that the mass in an isolated system, isolated means not in contact with anybody, is neither created nor destroyed by chemical reaction. You cannot destroy the mass during the chemical reaction, okay, but the refined form, the purified form of this statement, let me show you now. According to law of conservation of mass, mass of the product in chemical reaction, let's suppose any chemical reaction A plus B goes to C plus D, okay. So whatever the mass in the reactant side, that is M. So after the reaction, product formed and their mass is same, and that is again M. This is what the law of mass conservation says, okay. Now, so according to law of conservation of mass, see, if in the exam, in the school exam, if they ask you what do you mean by law of mass conservation, so what you write there, you write this statement, only this statement you need to write, that's it, and you will get your marks, okay. So, and the next thing, after writing this statement, you can write in this way, that A plus B arrow C plus D. So M and M equal, or if you can assume it M1 and M2, it's your wish, no problem, M1 and 2 equal, okay. So overall conclusion is mass before the reaction equal to mass after the reaction, and you must mention the next slide also. Now, law of conservation of mass is useful for a number of calculation and can be used. See, why I am saying you must mention this, so that the person who will check your copy during school exam, he will come to know that yes, you are understanding the topic and you are understanding the reason behind that, that why we are studying law of mass conservation, if you mention this topic. But overall, the slide number means the just before this slide, what the slide I gave you, that slide is enough to give you full marks, no problem at all, with including this equation, okay. If you write this line, then it gives a feeling that why you are studying or you are introducing law of conservation of mass. See what happens, law of conservation of mass is useful for a number of calculations. In class 11, there is a chapter mole concept. The small introduction we will study here only, in this chapter only, but detailed discussion is in class 11th. See, in my all the lectures almost you will listen that detailed discussion is in class 11, detailed discussion is in class 12. Why I say? Because the reason is our motto is always try to make a strong bridge between class 9, 10 to 11, 12, so that you can enter smoothly in class 11, 12 with, and our motto is to make you more and more competitive. That is why I repeat again and again, I try to link the class 9th with 11 and class 10th with 12. Okay, so law of conservation of mass is useful for a number of calculations. You have to calculate so many things: mass, molecular weight, moles, atoms, number of molecules, number of electrons. Law of mass conservation is useful there and can be used to solve unknown mass. Okay, sometime A and B mass is given, but they may ask you the mass of C, okay, in higher classes. So that time also law of mass conservation plays very important role, such as the amount of gas consumed or produced during a reaction. So these lines gives the feeling that why we should study the law of mass conservation. And what is mass conservation? It states that the total mass before the reaction is equal to total mass after the reaction. That's it. So I hope you understood the topic law of mass conservation and why it is very important. Thank you.